Ross. Again, I'm coming to you with a different book. I hope you were able to see last time where we read the Lizard's Tale, and I was able to show you how I did the illustrations for that book. This story is called Neesee's Canopy Walk. Neecie is a little girl who is visiting her grandmother in Ghana. And you could say that maybe her grandmother is me. I do have a granddaughter who has not come to visit me yet. And I have a grandson who has not come to visit me yet. And actually, these books about Neecie and her brother Mo, who is in this book as well, I started writing these books because I wanted to have a way for them to see what I was seeing in my new home, which is Ghana, and for them to experience it. But you know, writing and making books takes a very long time. So they have they're teenagers now, so I don't know if they're going to have the same appreciation for these books as they did, or they might have when they were younger. But hopefully you will, because you're probably younger. Anyway, I'm a retired teacher, and I'm an artist, and I'm just having a lot of fun making art and writing books. In the last segment, as I said, we looked at how I do the illustrations, how I make the illustrations for these books using torn paper collage, painted paper collage that I put together to create scenes. And I have done a lot of that in this next book we're going to read today, Neesee's Canopy Walk. But before we look at the book itself, I want to show you some of the illustrations and point out some of the pages that you're going to see in the story, and show you some of the original art that went into those pages, okay? So here's one of the pages from the book, and you can see how I have made the trees in the forest from different parts or different pieces of collage paper that I've painted, as I showed you in the last video, and added to create the illusion of a forest. And then I did the characters up above it, okay? Another one would be this. Oops, let's go this way. I said in the other video that I use all kinds of recycled papers. Here I'm using pieces of maps, old maps, that give the illusion of grandma standing on the African shore, waving to her family who's going to be coming for a visit. And I'm just using all kinds of recycled papers. Some I've painted, some I haven't painted. Let's see, one or two more. Okay. You'll see this picture in the book in a minute when we read the story, but you can see how I've used the painted papers just to create the illusion of the forest being all around these children. And one more. Then we'll get started with the story, because that's probably what you came for, right? Okay. Let's read Neesee's Canopy Walk. Neesee's Canopy Walk. As I said before, this is one of several books that I've written and will be continuing to write about Neecie and her brother Mo, and their adventures in Africa when they come to visit their grandmother. And the series is called Neecie, the Neecie, Mo, and Co. series. All right. On the first page, we see Neecie. Her name was Bernice, but everyone called her Neecie for short. Neecie was a smart, happy girl who was confident most of the time, but she had a secret. She was afraid of heights, really afraid. Neecie didn't like being in high places for any reason. Nope, No, thank you, she said politely when friends and family and friends wanted her to join them in up-high activities. Neesee was a both feet on the ground kind of girl. One summer, their mom took Neesee and her brother, Montgomery, or Mo for short, to Ghana to visit their grandmother. Gran had been living there for 15 years. Ghana was across the Atlantic Ocean in Africa, and they had to take an airplane to get there from the United States. Neesee was worried about how high up they would be in the airplane, but it was a night flight, and she could see nothing but velvety black sky through the windows. So she slept through the whole trip. In the coming days and weeks, Gran took them around to see the sights. Neesee enjoyed it all until the day Gran announced they were going to visit Kakum National Park. You see on this page, well, okay, sorry. These are some of the famous places that you visit when you come to Ghana. There's the Nkrumah Memorial, memorializing Ghana's first president, and Cape Coast Castle Dungeon, where our ancestors were stored after they had been captured and before they were brought to the New World as slaves. Okay, next page. Neesee, she thought about her secret fear of heights, but she said to herself, a park and game reserve are on the ground, right? Not high up, no problem. So she didn't think it was going to be a big deal to be going to this Kakum National Park because she didn't think they would be up in the air. It would be on the ground. Parks are on the ground, right? Right. Neesee loved nature and was so excited she hardly slept at all the night before the trip to the game park. She hoped to see lots of wild animals, birds, butterflies that lived in the park. At the park, they joined a group of local children who were on a school field trip. Oh, I hope I see some elephants or monkeys, thought Neesee. And there she is. But she was so busy looking for animals, Neesee didn't notice the trail was slowly but surely going up and up and up. The trail finally ended, and Neesee could see the children ahead of her climbing the stairs and walking out onto a narrow walkway high in the treetops. Uh-oh, look at her face. No, thank you, she said to the park guide and turned right around to go back down the trail. But the guide said she must wait and not to go back yet. The guide was sending small groups of children onto the Canopy walkway, telling them to walk in single file and do not run. Neesee really didn't want to cross the Canopy walkway, but all the other kids were going ahead, and she didn't want them to think she was a scaredy American chicken. Neesee looked around, and her hands started to sweat. She could see the platform was up in the treetops, but she couldn't really tell how high it was. She didn't like this, not one little bit. Her brother, Mo, said, come on, Neesee, I'll go with you. Look, no one else is scared. So she started slowly, tiptoeing across the first of 7 sections of the Canopy walkway that were attached to huge tree trunks. Everything was okay at first. The treetops were so close, she couldn't tell their height. So Neecie crept along. As Neecie crept along, she thought, well, this isn't too bad. Mo was having a great time with the other kids. They had forgotten what the guide said and had run away, leaving Neecie. She called and called, but Mo didn't hear her and kept going. The narrow bridge swayed and shook as the kids ran along it. Then Neecie suddenly walked out of the thickest part of the trees, and she could see how high up she was. It was very high indeed. Neecie froze. She knew there was no going back, and she didn't see anyone coming who could help her. Neecie had never been so terrified in her life. Then she remembered her heartstone. She always kept it in her pocket because it reminded her to see with her heart. She stopped, held the stone in her hand, and closed her eyes. She took 3 slow, deep breaths and whispered, I am strong, I am brave, I can do this. And repeating those words, she started walking again and began to feel better. As Neecie neared the next platform, she heard someone crying. She saw a little boy crouching up against the tree trunk, sobbing his heart out. The other kids left me. I'm scared, he wailed. Neecie could see the child was even more frightened than she was, and that made her feel a little better. She knelt down next to him and said gently, Hi, my name is Neecie. I'm scared too. What's your name? Kobe, he said. Come on, Kobe. Let's walk together, okay? Said Neecie. Okay, sniffled Kobe. They started walking across the last and longest section of the Canopy walkway. Kobe was still crying a little, so Neecie began pointing out butterflies and birds, hoping to distract him. She even thought she saw an elephant far below, but she couldn't be sure. Neecie realized that she was forgetting to be afraid and was enjoying the beauty of the forest. Soon they reached the end of the Canopy walkway. They saw everyone waving and cheering. Hey, Neecie, we've been waiting for you. Hooray for Neecie and Kobe. Gran hugged Neecie and said, I'm very proud of you for being so brave and helping that little boy. I'm sorry for leaving you, Mo said sheepishly. Kobe ran to his father, who picked him up. Thank you for helping my little man. He got a little stuck, just a bit stuck. Kobe smiled shyly at Neecie. This is normal, the guide said. Sometimes people get scared, but they always make it. As they started back down the trail to go home, Neecie looked up at the canopy walkway she had just crossed. She whispered, Wow, look at what I just did. I am pretty amazing. And she thought she heard her heartstone whisper back, Yes, you are, especially for a both feet on the ground kind of girl. And that sign really is at the Canopy Walkway. This is a real place. You survived the Canopy Walkway. Please come back. Goodbye. And it also says on one of the signs, "Quiet, please. You are not alone, for you are entering someone's home. You may not see them, but they see you. So be very quiet, whatever you do." Because Kakum National Park is a protected place for animals, and the animals are the most important thing there, and human beings have to respect them and respect their home. And these kinds of signs are all over the place so that you remember that you're not in your home, you're in the animal's home. Okay. So that's the end of the story. But again, there's a little bit of information about Ghana at the end of the book. The Kakum National Park and its Canopy Walkway are real places in Ghana. The park is 144 square miles in size and is home to many endangered species. It is home to a wide variety of animals, birds, and insects, including forest monkeys and buffaloes, antelopes, leopards, monkeys, porcupines, tortoises, and lizards, as well as civets, galagos, potos, and pangolins. Pangolins? The Canopy Walkway was built in 1992 and is one of Ghana's most popular tourist sites. It has 7 sections totaling 1.7 miles and is more than 98 feet or 30 meters off the ground. That's as tall as a 10-story building. No wonder Neesee was scared. You see there at the bottom, I've made that diagram to show you how high the Canopy Walk is. That's a 10-floor building. And the Canopy Walk that Neesee walked on and was so brave is more than 10 stories off the ground, and it goes on for 1.7 miles, almost two miles of that Canopy Walk. And she was so brave and had to cross it all by herself. And then she helped a little boy who was even more scared than she was. Sometimes when you share an emotion with somebody, you can help them and they can help you feel better too. And that's me. I'm an artist, a career educator. All of my books are about my years living in Africa, and much of what I write about in my books is true. I'm writing these books about Africa because there are not a lot of books about Africa, and I want them to be more common and more available for children like you. So I hope you enjoyed this book talk about Neesee's Canopy Walk. And I hope you enjoyed learning how I made the pictures, and hopefully we'll get together another time for another book. Take care. Enjoy. Keep reading.